Beyond.
Hello and welcome to Podcast Beyond.
What the hell?
Episode. What?
Where's Andrew?
You know where he is? What is this Punch and Judy baloney? You know where he is.
Punch and Judy baloney?
It was the first puppet show that came to mind.
I didn't have anyone to say Beyond with.
Okay. Yeah,
Marty.
Well,
hi.
You
Beyond.
said
Beyond.
Stop.
Beyond.
Yes.
Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 412. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Marty Sleva,
Thanks for having me.
Brian Altano,
Brap.
and Andrew Goldfarb is out with a hot breaking news story that he's covering. He will come in and fill us in on that. Mm-hmm. It's a real funny sort of bad.
It's
a real weird bad problem.
He got pulled off the show at the last second, right before it started. But we're gonna power through it anyway.
We'll let him talk about what's going on there when he gets in here. He's gonna come scampering in here and the real flustered, real
He's
upset.
going to be sweaty, but his secret is that he sweats often.
Oh, wow. What a weird secret to have. We got a lot of news, a lot of really cool stuff. We were getting into that part of the year where games come out and we get to talk about games.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about James.
First things first, I want to talk, there is new PlayStation 4 firmware, version 3.0, which adds a bunch of stuff. One thing I'm really happy about, like all of us are pretty active on Twitter, I have been regularly disappointed that you can't share video clips to Twitter, and I've like captured something and be like, here's a video of my horse pooping on my face in Metal Gear, I should share this. And then it only does it to YouTube and Facebook, so that's good news for me. There's also there's a dedicated PlayStation Plus area, which is lots of fun because I want that. And then there's stickers, which I like because I want to send random people, if they message me and they say, are you Max Scoville? I just send them a picture of Crash Bandicoot because that's funny to me.
What?
I don't know.
What's your icon? What's your little avatar?
It's Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yeah.
I like the idea that Crash Bandicoot doesn't know how to spell anything, so he just sends pictures of himself to people.
Sure. I mean,
Mine's my album cover, available at misanthropealbum.com. It's free or pay what you want.
I think mine's the jet grind radio symbol because I chose it 6 years ago, and I'm real lazy.
Yeah, that works. Other big news, there was an interview with Shuhei Yoshida about the possibility of a Vita successor, and he said the climate is not healthy and noted the fact that mobile touch telephone games about little birds are too successful, and we're probably not going to be seeing a Vita successor, which really shouldn't be a huge surprise. Like, we've kind of seen the writing on the wall here for a while. What do we make of this?
Well, there's I was actually pretty fascinated with a couple of the industry reactions to this. One was the Kotaku editorial that basically said that mobile didn't kill the Vita, Sony did. And there's obviously a lot of debates over that. I think that from the jump, it's been very difficult, and we've talked about this on the show before, but it's been very difficult to sort of position the PlayStation Vita as something that makes sense in sort of the climate with the rest of their products. And then it's also something that sort of, I don't know if people are or ever will be entirely great with playing a full-fledged next-gen console game on a handheld. I still think that it's something that it's why you see Nintendo still doing pretty well. I mean, their handheld line is obviously selling, not as well as the DSOs did or the Game Boy used to, but I think that they're still sort of holding on to that sort of cutesy, quirky look, and I think it works to an extent. And I think that a lot of us have sort of connected with our Vita with games like that. Some of my favorite games to play on Vita are things like Shovel Knight or Guacamelee or even Sound Shapes. Killzone, I had a really enjoyable time playing that to an extent. Like when I'm sitting on a plane, I'm like, I get to play something that looks like somewhere between PS3 and PS4. It's pretty awesome. But in the grand scheme of things, like that's it's a game with a short campaign and kind of a decent multiplayer chucked in. That I don't really know if that's really what the system's made for. So I don't really know if it's mobile that's killing that stuff. I think it's Sony's sort of kind of inability to jump in on those type of games and find a place for them. I think Sony could make a awesome handheld, and they could fill it with really good games that satiate people like us who want hardcore games, but also want something a little quirkier and more fun.
I think the Vita tried to be too many things. Yeah, I think it really overextended itself, and kind of looking at where it succeeded and where it failed and what Sony's doing now, I think it kind of it thought too big. Like it's a big gorgeous screen, which is great, but it also kind of cuts down on the whole portability factor, which is sort of the whole selling point. I mean, the PSP Go, really cool idea, came out at exactly the wrong time.
Yeah. And I felt like it was too small.
It was their Game Boy Micro.
Also, like the fact that they just partnered with Spotify and you've got PlayStation Music, and it's not this weird proprietary service with like Sony Entertainment Group or whatever, where you buy music on this thing that might get hacked and disappear someday.
Yeah.
I use Spotify on my PS4 all the time. I feel like if they'd released something for a Vita that was like, that was smaller and it was like out the gate, it was like, hey, here's something that's, I don't know, $200, $150 that's not for these AAA experiences, but is a, you can replay Final Fantasy VII. You can play
a lot of the PSN
you can play
games that you already download for
Guacamelee.
PS4.
Like, I mean, if they made it a destination, like a, I mean, it came out as kind of an accessory to the PS3, and the PS3 was kind of isolated in that sense, you know, like it was kind of, you know, it was doing its own thing, and it really works awesomely as a companion to the PS4.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, it sort of jumped the gun there. It kind of came out too early.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I think what you said right at the beginning about it stretching itself a little bit too thin is totally apt. I've never really used it as in a remote play fashion.
Just side note, Totally Apt would be a really good name for a podcast about apps, mobile gaming.
That would, yeah.
Did we just do that?
That'd be a great show.
Here's a great new segment, Totally Apt. What's your favorite new app?
I think you're awful. And that's
you're a real bad boy.
Every time you say an F word on the show, we have to go back and add a sound effect to cover it up.
Oh, well, that really sucks. A lot of people have to chop up rocks for work.
What, characters in the Never-Ending Story?
Old rock choppers.
Criminals? Like, who are you defending?
Anyway, there's a lot of criminals that listen to this show.
German Muppets? I don't.
I think you're right. It's always been sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. I think it does a lot of things really, really well, but it was the sort of stepping child between stepping child.
Wait, as someone who said piggy tail like a week ago, let's talk about
piggy tail
stepping child.
It lived between the PS3 and the PS4, and it's a kind of a tough spot to be, because right now, like, whatever Sony does is pretty hot, right? But I think they delve into portable stuff and it doesn't work as well. A lot of people look at the PlayStation sort of handheld line and they go, ultimately it is a failure. It never sold as well as Nintendo did. It's, you know, never come close to what Apple does. But the PSP, I read the other day, sold 80 million units.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. That puts it up there with some of the most, you know, successful video game devices of all time. That's like really, really good numbers. So, I mean, for reference, that's something like, you know, 3.5 times the Xbox or the GameCube, you know. So I think there's a place for it. I think they'd have to completely retool their vision. I think Max is right, and we've said it on the show before. The design of the Vita is amazing. It's gorgeous, but I don't think it really makes sense as a handheld. It's sort of a luxury item. You have to put it inside of a case. Like, you look at like something like an iPad, right?
Yeah.
Where people can just flip it open, or their phone, they just shove it in their pocket. I think that there's a way for Sony to make a dedicated handheld. I think it needs to be more open to just being weird and doing some of the weird, smaller, crazy things that I think is what I really ended up loving the Vita for the most
Yeah,
part.
I mean, the idea of the Vita being like what the PS1 was, were sort of a cheap way for weird developers to make ideas that normally wouldn't exist on home consoles. I mean, I don't really agree. I think it feels good. I love how the Vita feels. It feels more like a high caliber electronic than the NES does.
I love it.
I don't think it's too big or anything. That being said, I've tossed it in my bag and spilled booze on it and broken Vitas before.
Do you put a case on it?
No.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in the minority. A lot of people.
I'm the kind of guy that doesn't.
I got real little pockets, and it doesn't really work to shove it in the pocket. And I think
they should sell Sony branded Jinkos.
Yeah, they should. That'd be a
the Gene Company.
They could have Crash Bandicoot embroidered on the back pocket.
That's right.
Be real hip and with the times.
What are you doing back there, Crash? Oh, just chilling on an ass cheek.
So yeah, I mean, it's.
Well,
we're kind of watching a slow death of this thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that sucks. That's what people aren't really used to seeing.
We're also seeing Sony kind of like chop off a lot of its other kind of arms and legs. Like, they stopped doing PC stuff pretty recently.
Right.
They've pretty much backed off of. I mean, they've got still some mobile stuff going on, but like, they've been pretty open about the fact that, like, the PlayStation arm is really the thing that's the strongest. Like, that's where they're succeeding the most. And I mean, the Vita it was weird because it started up, and remember, you could choose between like a Wi-Fi or a 3G model. Yeah. Which seems really weird when you think about it now, because it's not even on the table.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
And it also came out really hot on the tail of the Xperia Play, which was like this Ericsson branded sort of PlayStation phone. And it's like, you kind of got to just sort of consolidate who is this for, what is it? And it's like they were kind of cannibalizing on their own here's buy our product to put in your pocket. Which one? The one with the PlayStation buttons. Which one?
Yeah.
You know, and it's
totally. Yeah, and it's also just strange. Like I feel like it's. I mean, we don't have the actual stats, but I feel like I would be willing to bet a majority of the people who own a Vita also now have a PS4.
Yep.
If they were relative early adopters within the first year or two. And so their sort of insistence on this being a companion device to the PS4, where it's like, oh, it gives your house a second PS4. I've never used it as that. Like, I use it because all of us travel a lot, and I use it because it has, you know, it plays a lot of the amazing indie games that I love on PS4. A lot of them are cross-buy. It also has things like Golden Abyss and Gravity Rush and Persona 4 that I love.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was in Tokyo for TGS last year, and some of the IGN guys were playing Destiny on their Vitas, and I was just like, how the hell? How is this possible?
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing this? Or I forget it was Destiny. It was some other AAA shooter type game, and they're just like in their hotels playing Destiny with their PS4s on in America, and it kind of like, it's incredible. You know, it's like it's the kind of stuff we just take for granted. And like we said, very ambitious system, very gorgeous, very awesome, great lineup. I think ultimately, I'm not going to remember it for that. I'm not going to remember it for the Golden Abysses. I'm going to remember it for like those smaller, quirkier games that I played on it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, for the first year of it, it was kind of a pain in the ass to organize.
Yeah, jeez, seriously.
Then they came out with folders, the world changed, everyone got happier.
But it's one of those things I love pulling out, like when I go out on a trip and looking at and just being like, I have no idea what I want to play right now, but I have 40 games on here.
Oh, yeah,
like
like
PS1s to Persona 4 to...
Yeah, the library on that thing, like on my Vita currently, when I turn that on a flight, I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. I'm the same way. I have so many good
also
games
like great for Netflix. Like that
Yeah.
screen is
Absolutely.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I brought on vacation at one point because I was like, I don't want to bring anything I can check my email with. I mean, you could check my email with it, but why bother?
Yeah,
it's kind of nice.
that's
it's sort of a weird little device. I love it to death. Sad to hear that it's actually dying.
It's been a weird year for Sony. Like, if you think about it, like their first party stuff hasn't really knocked it out the park. We haven't seen a ton of stuff from their first party studios, and we've kind of seen they haven't really committed to throwing this thing in the grave yet. But we've seen quotes here and there that are sort of just like, well, it's been a good run, little buddy. You know, like, so we'll see. I mean, it's good to know that it's not totally dead yet. There's still some stuff coming, but this seems like the end of PlayStation handhelds for a while.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing an Infamous. I don't think we're going to see another God of War.
Oh, no, never. You'll never see anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we do, it'd probably be like a weird PSN mini title kind of thing.
Like the weird gambling, Uncharted gambling game, Fortune 500.
Yep.
Speaking of Uncharted, that big old remastered version's coming out real soon.
And Mark Mayfield gave us a gift to say thank you for that, by the way. Mark Mayfield gave us a little sound gift that we can play here on the show every time someone says Sully, Nathan Drake, or Uncharted.
You know, if you think about it, the Vita was kind of a golden abyss in itself.
You think so?
A real expensive hole for us.
Golden Abyss was an interesting game. I gotta say.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But your thumb is hovering.
I really liked that game. It was one of my favorite games in the... What series was it in?
I think it was the Uncharted series.
Yeah. So we got a real funny little piece of trivia.
16 people were in that band, by the way, to play that sample right there. It's a 16-piece orchestra.
I just imagine it's a really giant clarinet that's got like people hanging off the sides of it.
It's 3 clarinets, 6 vuvuzelas, and there's one guy who throws a large tambourine down the flight.
It just looks like
a tambourine?
Yeah.
An old-fashioned fire truck that's got a bunch of dudes blowing into it.
So there's Uncharted. Uncharted is in the building right now, the Uncharted collection.
Yeah.
And the demo's out today. It's a very big demo.
Which one is it? Is it the...
It's Uncharted 2. It's what we saw at... No! Brian, no.
Fine.
Brian, no, you can keep hitting the button.
You guys are so mean.
You look like a real sad boy. I believe it's the level we saw at... where are we? PAX?
Yeah, that's
so
the Warzone episode or issue.
It's right after that truck tries to kill you in the small tunnel.
The gritty reboot of Crash Bandicoot, where you got to run away from something that's chasing you.
Yep. What happens if you die in that section?
Yeah.
I wish your face could make a sound right now because you look real upset, man.
It would sound exactly like that sound, but slowed down about 40%.
It's gonna be Inception noise.
So the game's in the building right now. We're watching. We can talk about it, right? I think the embargo's up. There's a bunch of people in the office playing it. I've actually seen it get passed from person to person. Fun story. Jose Otero was supposed to review it for us. He loves Uncharted.
Yeah, he
last night
Uncharted 3 for 1UP.
Last night he was ice skating, which is something you can't do in any of the Uncharted games.
Yet.
We haven't played 4 yet. And he slipped and broke his elbow. So a lot of rules there. Don't ice skate.
Yeah, don't do things.
Don't be that tall.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that,
and take care of yourself.
As a big tall man, I'm going to say don't ice skate. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it at all. So that got passed over to Vince Ingenito, friend of the show, who's been on a bunch of times. He was on for the Metal Gear review, so we'll have him talking about the Uncharted review when we can get him.
But seeing it in action, the games look great.
Yeah.
You know? Like even 1, which if you went back and played 1 at any point recently, like it was an amazing looking game at the time, but it's definitely shown that it's, the better part of a decade old.
Yeah.
But the games look incredible. They didn't. Some people were hoping that they were going to take sort of the shooting mechanics of 3 and then put them into 1 and 2, but they really didn't. I think mechanically the games are still 1-to-1 what they were back in the day.
They don't have that weird grenade wiggle thing, do they?
No, I think they got rid of it. Walking across the log.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah, remember that log?
I totally forgot about that log.
A log too far.
Really didn't like that log. No, they patched all that stuff in 1 pretty early on.
Yeah.
I think like they're not going to be the versions of the game that you remember fondly fakely. A lot of people do that where you're sort of just like, I remember that game. I have this vision of how it looked in my head. It's not that. And it's not. They don't look like Uncharted 4. But they look really gorgeous. I think geometry-wise, they're still pretty similar. Like they got a ton of new texture updates. It doesn't look like, I could be totally wrong, but it doesn't look like a ton was done in the animation department.
No,
like they're
probably not. No,
they're like a little. I can't really explain it. They're sort of just like a little.
They added one brand new pot in each level, and the most hardcore fans will be able to spot that pot.
Yep, and there's a little spider inside them, and if you eat it, you die.
Oh no!
And if you die...
Thanks, Brian.
Beyond.
Yeah. No, I think that it's kind of weird how they marketed it and like announced and presented this, because like they kind of came out and they were like, "Hey, Uncharted Remastered collection coming soon," and they showed like a sort of cinematic type of trailer, or was it?
Yeah,
they showed this flyover of a map, and it was I believe it was Sully was talking over it.
Yeah,
and he's just like, "There's a lot of adventures and treasures, and sometimes
now they've been remastered. It's a whole collection."
Yeah, it was available in stores, and it was odd. It was sort of just like, show us the game. We've seen them before.
Yeah, I think they could have done themselves a whole lot of favors by doing one of those kind of before and after shots. Like, here's the original, and it like maybe it isn't necessarily flattering. It's like being like going on a nice first date and showing off your high school yearbook photos, which I do a lot.
You do that? You bring
on your first dates?
Weirdly fulfilling.
Can we talk about
I bring a nice yearbook.
You're engaged? You're still going on a lot of first dates?
Seems like I keep getting in trouble because I'm going. That's why they're only first dates. Also, I bring my year anyway.
A good way to not get in trouble is to not keep committing the same crime over and over again.
Yeah,
it's called Double Jeopardy.
That's right. No, but so I'm actually really excited to play these games again. It's easy to just say that because they're classic games, but it's also like Uncharted's in the building. We've been talking about it with all the people who are working here, and it's a cool place to be in a time like that. There's just a bunch of people who are really passionate about that. And Sam Claiborne, just out of nowhere, was sort of just like, Sam Claiborne, who's our managing editor here, was like, "Man, you know what I really love? I love the submarine scene in the first Uncharted game." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that section. Like that section is awesome." It is just like, I mean, there's not. Of the 3 games, that's obviously one of the toughest ones to get back to. But the submarine scene is like it's just a really cool moment. And then there's moments all throughout the second one where I'm just like, oh yeah, they're like classic scenes that I would watch. Like, somebody links you to something of like a part in an Indiana Jones like Temple of Doom. Like here's the minecart level, and I'm like, I have memories of Uncharted like that. So I'm really excited to go back and play them again.
Don't you pet like a real sweet yak at one point?
Something, you meet a whole bunch of wampas.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything.
Old tunnels of Hoth.
A lot of bad stuff happens in that.
So one thing I do want to point out, it's kind of funny to remaster.
Sorry, that was perfect.
Kind of funny to remaster a series called Uncharted. Be like, you're replaying it. It's still Uncharted. We lost the maps. They're brand new maps. They're all different.
Well, they couldn't have called it Recharted because that's.
I think they should have called it Recharted.
God, they really should have.
They should have called it Recharted.
Andrew, you're back.
Beyond. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 400.
We already did that.
Oh, yeah.
Marty, that's why Marty drew 2 lines on this piece of paper
That's
to
where I said-
signify
that's where we
everything
are.
you should know.
And he wrote a minute 3 because that's when I said the F-bomb.
No, that was
Oh man, I missed you
4:35.
guys talking about firmware and Vita. Those are the 2 things I was excited about.
That's
We
not the
talked
F-bomb.
And that
we have
bomb
to
is
say, we
firmware,
have to put a
right?
meow every time someone says firmware.
Yeah,
Brian,
so
I like
you...
how this says 1 apple in every bag at the bottom, by the way.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to do, right? Especially talking about that bag of apple chips that no one who's listening to the show can see. That's
Yeah,
another
thanks
weird
for
thing to do.
bringing some real noisy snacks that you can't see onto an audio mostly podcast.
I think the only thing worse than eating an actual apple is, in terms of bad noise, is crinkling a bag of.
Stop doing
Did
that.
one
Stop.
of you,
Get away. Put that away.
like Clements, eat an apple on an
that was
episode?
me.
That was
me.
you?
Yeah,
Hey.
Panda Busk animated it.
All right. It's so gross to imagine. Thanks for not doing that today.
Oh, you're welcome.
You showed up late to this episode because
I
of
did.
some serious actual break. Give me the phone. Give me the phone.
All right, I'm putting it.
Give me the phone. Put that away. If I
just-
see it again, I'm taking it.
Beyond.
I'm putting it on my desk and I'm locking the desk. You can't
Shut
have
up.
it. You can have it back at the end of the day.
No, you know. No.
Yeah.
What happened? Something real weird happened that is totally one of those things that should not really be happening so much in 2015.
Yeah, I'm. It's weird because like there will be more to this by the time you're listening to this episode. But basically, the Call of Duty account for at least a couple hours
Twitter
became
account.
Twitter account. Yeah, at Call of Duty on Twitter became global news aggregate.
Current events aggregate.
Current events aggregate. excuse
Where
me.
we bring you real news.
Yeah, their tagline was "Where we bring you real news." And here's the thing: they changed their header, their logo, and they're still verified. So if you just follow a bunch of people, you just see a verified current events Twitter account tweeting out that there was a bombing in Singapore, and it's essentially a fake terrorist attack. It's
Yeah,
talking
so I'm
about-
going to read through some of the tweets in the timeline real quick. I mean, before we really get into it, I think this is a just very gross, crass, bad idea thing to do. Like, I think that also, like, I understand video games getting political. That's totally fine. I think that we live in kind of a nightmare world, and I play a lot of video games to sort of get away from that kind of stuff. Also, like, regular news feeds on Twitter, bad enough as is. So to not have, I mean, and also think about the kind of people that would follow Call of Duty on Twitter. It's mostly people who are like, you know,
And the
F
fact
word
that
this, and
if
where's
you-
my trailer? And
If you retweet something and you're like, "Oh, cool, Call of Duty tweeted this thing,"
Yeah.
people are gonna see it and they don't understand that. They don't. There's the context does not get retweeted.
Right.
You don't get.
Right.
And
So
you click on
here's-
it, you're like, "What is this?" And it's got a million something followers. It's verified.
And here's where I don't understand this. So one day ago, Current Events Aggregate, which was at Call of Duty,
Speaking of one day.
tweeted a picture of a very pretty woman with a triangular V cleavage going on, and it says, "Congrats to Tidal Vortex for dominating the box office 2 weeks in a row." So I think that's them saying this is a fake movie. Or was I don't even know what that is. Contextually, it means nothing because it still says Current Events Aggregate in the corner. So in their fake news world, a movie dominated the box office 2 weeks in a row. Great news, awesome, off to a good start in your fake news wars. Uh-oh, breaking news: unconfirmed reports are coming in of an explosion on the north bank of the Singapore marina. The cause of the explosion is unknown, but large plumes of dark smoke have been seen rising from the site. And then there's like a bad video game screenshot of what they think smoke looks like. City authorities urge the public not to panic and not to hinder the emergency teams that are converging on the area. Now, that thing I just read, that soundbite, that's just a tweet. So that has 218 retweets, 454 favorites. 218 people spread that tweet to other people who, out of context of anything, just saw city authorities urge the public not to panic and not to hinder, which is the best way to get the public to panic. Next tweet, update. Sources confirm explosion took place at the Singapore Research Laboratories belonging to Coalescence Corporation. There's a picture of what I believe is what they think Singapore looks like, and just rays of lights and explosions coming out of it. Authorities have implemented a no-fly order in response to the apparent crash of relief VTOLs heading to the seat of the explosion.
Well, and here's the real problem. So by the time you're listening to this, I'm sure Activision will have released some kind of statement about this. In the time right before I came in, they tweeted out, 2 hours after this, they tweeted out, "This was a glimpse into the future fiction of Black Ops 3. And the account has now been rebranded Call of Duty and has all the Call of Duty stuff back. But you don't do that after. Like, that's sort of the weird thing.
So
is, like,
I want to
I mean, if you
read some of
walk
the
into a
responses to
bank
this.
and you go, "All right, everybody, give me your money right now. Put your hands on the ground. Give me all the money because I want the money right now."
Yeah.
And then the cops show up and you go, and this concludes my one-man show about Billy Bank Robber and his crazy heist.
Look for Payday 4 Heist Bros in stores this fall.
Didn't that also happen with Call of Duty in Australia? Didn't they have like a fake
here we go. Listen to this one. I want to show you how this is how the public is reacting to this. Drones have been spotted over an area approximately 30 square miles in size, broadcasting messagings advising people to stay in their homes. Gabriel says, remake COD 4. Reaxuez says, I think you might be scaring people. Conway says, swag.
So I don't know, like
the real Mr. Big Mac, how did you get that? Says, I mean it, fam. Knock it off.
Yeah, I would say I don't want to live on this planet anymore, but one of the Call of Duty games went to space pretty recently, so I don't think it even counts anymore.
I guess it's a weird thing to talk about in the moment because it all depends on how Activision handles this afterwards.
This will change by the time the episode.
Yeah, but it's super weird.
I want to read one more from Earth Products, Proud Coxian. He actually couldn't spell that right. He says, yeah, right. I thought this was a real attack.
Well, good job for sniffing out the tricks.
Hey, publishers, PR people, stop it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think
don't do this. Don't throw balloons into the bay or sacrifice a goat at a God of War party or kill a clown on a roof or whatever you want to do next. Just stop. Just give it a rest. You want to sell your games? Make a couple of posters. Actually, try this. Get the people who are working on your game to give you maybe 30, 60, or maybe 3 or 4 minutes of video footage of the game being played by real humans. Add some cool music, a couple of those like tugboat sound effects they put in every movie trailer right now. Slap a release date and a price on the end. And put it out there. That's all you have to do. You don't have to kill anybody or fake kill anybody or come up with a fake Twitter account that terrifies real people on planet Earth. Just stop. Please. I beg of you. Beyond.
Can we talk about those?
To promote the release of the upcoming Where's the Water 2, special operatives will be shouting fire in crowded theaters, leaving moviegoers wondering, where's the water? Yeah.
Naughty Dog has released 6,000 actual dogs into a children's home.
Play along with the brand new Uncharted AR game. Google Maps is down. You'll all get lost.
A drone will dump 10,000 pounds of sand on your parents' house and turn it into the desert from Uncharted 3.
All right.
This is the worst. Please stop doing this. Please. Thank you.
Okay. Hitman.
Vuvuzela noise.
Hitman. Just Hitman. Just Hitman. Not Hitman Go, not Hitman Absolution, none of the other Hitman. It's just the regular old man.
Yeah, a lot of franchises are doing that lately. Need for Speed's doing that.
I feel like this is kind of a mixed messaging because this is the Hitman that's coming out sort of episodically, kind of, sort of. It's going to trickle out campaign missions. It's coming out March 11th. It's supposed to come out this year.
December.
Initial content will be launched. This includes 6 campaign missions across 3 locations: Paris, Sapienza, and Marrakesh. For contracts mode, there will be about 800 targets for you to craft your contact from. Okay.
So their whole thing there was that it was going to launch in December, seemingly with like a mission.
I think what happened was somebody there looked at a video game release date calendar and we're like, no,
maybe we shouldn't do this. And their whole plan was you pay $60 up front and then you can just you get everything for free as it comes out. But it's one of those things where I don't know if people are going to want to pay $60 for like one mission.
And like, what if you don't like? It's like that weird. If you release something episodically and you play episode 1 and you don't like it, you're done. You don't have to pay for episode 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. But like, this is that weird case where like, if you had to pay $60 up front, then it would be crappy because then you're stuck with all that other content.
Yeah. So there's a weird thing now.
Yeah. There is the Hitman intro pack, which has been announced, which allows you to just purchase the March content for $35. So you get 3 big old Hitman maps with 800 people to kill or something. And if you want access to the subsequent updates after that, you can buy an extra pack for $30. So you buy just slightly more than half a game, and you get maybe half a game, maybe a tiny tip of the iceberg of the game. We don't know anything. This is pre-ordering the game grants you access to the beta for the game that was supposed to be out in 2 months. What?
Yeah.
Only available for PC and PS4.
It's an interesting model. I mean, like I'm not crazy about this specific model, but I do like that people are thinking outside the box on traditional game prices because like I don't think we live in a world where a $60 game always makes sense anymore. And I mean, like the Call of Duty stuff that happened last week, aside from the fake terrorist attack, was that they put the last gen version, PS3, 360, or Black Ops 3, they announced will not have campaign. It'll be just the online.
So if they want to experience the future fiction of Call of Duty, they have to go on Twitter.
Exactly. But that was weird because that means it's still $50. So they're essentially valuing the campaign at $10, which is I mean they're not really, but they are. It's a weird thing of like what is the cost of that 6-hour campaign and like what is fair there, and maybe $35 is a happier medium. Everything is doing free to play on PC now. It's like obviously a much bigger deal than it was. Mobile has freemium stuff. I'm sure you talked about with the Vita stuff. Like it's just really interesting because price models are kind of the last thing to figure out right now, and this is at least a step in that direction, even if this one specifically is kind of confusing.
Yeah, it just seems like unclear messaging. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's the thing. If you're going to do something like this, you have to spell it out point by point and make it crystal clear what you're doing. Because like nobody wants to be like, I spent $60, could have spent $35. Because I do think you can still do the $60 point of entry, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, are these essentially assassination packs? I mean, this is not going to be like a Telltale situation where you're like, oh, story cliffhanger. You know?
I mean, not necessarily story cliffhangers.
Is Hitman okay?
But
he's fine.
It might just be new giant sandbox missions. And if each sandbox mission you want to spend a couple hours in, then it's...
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah, totally. And if they're good,
The reveal we got at E3 for this, really gorgeous.
Yeah, totally.
Like, definitely got kind of a Skyfall vibe to it.
Did you see what they did since then to promote the game? They actually assassinated 800 real people.
Wow,
that's future fiction right there.
That's right. Follow them on Twitter.
And they're kind of saying like, it just seems like really just the messaging's all over the place. Like they're sort of be like, hey guys, this is real special. Here's a picture of our biggest map from the last game, and here's the size of one of the maps you're getting in this one. It's like way bigger, and that's awesome. And I'm excited to check that out. It was clear that all those Square Enix games from like the very end of last gen, like they all, and you see the PC version, and they like looked incredible. It was very clear that they were kind of working on something that was future proof, and it's kind of cool to see that actually getting implemented. But like to be like, hey, half the game is ready. Hey, history teacher, I got the first 3 pages of my paper. I'm going to turn them in on Friday, and then I'm going to turn the rest of it in on the following Wednesday. Will I get a good grade?
How will you score me?
How will that go?
That is an interesting thing. Like, how do we review this game? That's really interesting too.
No, it sounds tricky.
And
right now. They haven't. There's no multiplayer component for this or anything, is there? There's no online crap. Really?
I don't believe so. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, maybe leaderboards, but yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's an interesting model for sure.
Yep.
I mean, how did we review the last Resident Evil game? The
but that was
one.
2 separate episodes. So we scored episode 1, we scored episode 2.
No, it was 5 episodes.
Yeah, it was 5.
But I'm just saying, like each one was distinct.
Yeah.
Like it's not like this is like a chunk of a larger whole. I think. I don't know. That's what I mean. Like again, I think like this kind of thing. Like maybe they did spell it out clearer than we are here, but I don't think that we know all the answers to these questions, and like that's exactly kind of the problem.
One thing we glossed over. We were on Uncharted for a while, but we didn't talk about the actual Uncharted thing that was on our paper. Do you want to talk about that?
The Johnny Knoxville thing?
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome.
Thing. Yeah, I believe it came from an article, an interview with The Verge, that the original model for Nathan Drake, and we have a picture of it in the article, was based on Johnny Knoxville. It's like very DreamWorks animated, like quirky faced. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And they were still coming off like Jack and Daxter then.
Yeah, I guess so.
So there's kind of like taking that cartoony stuff and making it more.
Yeah. It definitely had that kind of like 90s edge.
It had more like style to it.
Kind of like swanky edge guy to it. Like he actually said that in the notes that he looked like Dane Cook.
Yeah, a little bit like Danny, old Danny Cook. And then they said they auditioned 20 or 30 actors until they found Nolan, and Nolan was the one they obviously went with. Nolan North, not Christopher Nolan.
I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff they frequently put in developer diaries, but very like pared down thanks to PR and marketing and stuff. And I hate developer diaries. I cannot stand them as promotional items. I love that kind of stuff after the fact, like after I've gotten my hands on the game and it's like I understand why I should care. Like I care.
Sure.
Yep.
And then they show me like, oh, here's what it could have been. Here's what could have been different. Here's what went wrong. And instead, most of the time we get something like this, which is almost 10 years later, almost like why that could have trickled out way sooner. But most of the time we get stuff where people like go into the code and they're like, oh, here's this stuff we found that they were trying to implement. But
I mean, I think it makes you need to time it right, because there's like that thing where like if you're reading a Star Wars book and you're like, oh my God, C-3PO is almost like it was a human man and he was red or whatever the hell weird thing it is. Like if you know who C-3PO is, that means something to you. Whereas like if some game hasn't come out yet and they're like, oh, like Barney blah 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 used to look like an elephant.
Yep.
Like that doesn't mean anything to you because like you don't know who Barney blah 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 is yet.
Yeah, also that Barney blah 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 looks like crap game. I don't want to see that at
They
all.
did like a
It's
weird.
pre-order
It was a
now.
couple years ago. They did that weird like Star Wars figure line of the Ralph McQuarrie like concept.
Yeah, those
arts,
are hilarious.
Where Han Solo's got like a beard and like the gambit.
He just
thing around
looks
his
like
neck.
he looks like George Lucas with a weird hat.
Or like Bob Villa.
Chewbacca looks like a
Oh my
bush
God,
baby.
Bob
Yeah.
Vila.
Yeah.
That's Han Solo.
Everybody has the weird like swords instead of lightsabers. Yeah, that stuff's really cool to me. I love that. So especially.
Yeah, I love it, but I agree with Max. Like, you need to know, you need the context to know why that's cool or
Yeah,
different.
they didn't reveal that stuff in like June of 1976. Get your finger away from that.
That doesn't even fit.
We're talking about Uncharted.
No, you.
We're talking. You managed
segued
to.
to Bob Vila.
Before we started talking about something else, I wanted to make sure I got that noise in one more time. Beyond.
They should show the concept art of the different instruments they were planning on using for when Nate dies.
Nate died?
I love that you still have that tab open or whatever the hell you're even on.
This was sent to us by a Beyond fan. He said, "This is my gift for the week, so I want you to all yell at Mark Mayfield. This is your fault.
Yeah.
And I love you. Thank you for
Thanks,
making this
Mark.
the best
Look what you
episode of
did.
Beyond ever.
You made a big old mess.
You did a really good job today. Thank you so much. And that concludes the death of that bit.
All right. Great job, Brian. This is awesome. You're
All right.
you're bringing a great level of energy and weird trumpet noises to the show.
right.
It's a good thing to have.
Speaking of Beyond fans, we have something wonderful on the table. Where do these come from?
Oh, these are from American-born Moonshine. Yeah, these are cool. It's 3. Let's see, we got this White Lightning original one, and actually also.
Just for the record, this isn't sponsored or anything. This is
No,
somebody,
no,
a courier
these
just
are
showed
sent
up
to
and
us.
was like,
I wish we were sponsored by Moonshine.
Marty Goldfarb, there's Moonshine here for you.
Yeah, it's cool. It's in 3 flavors. There's an apple pie one that smells like apple juice, or it's made with apple juice, and they have all these like recommended recipes and stuff. I don't know. We're gonna try these after the show, I think.
All right.
They light up.
This one's giving me a little bit of a.
Turn off the lights on the Moonshine. Turn off that White Lightning.
It's a weird sentence.
I want to talk a little bit about something, again, because that's all I want to talk about. I'm so madly, crazily in love with Phantom Pain. Like, I love this game so much.
I still haven't played
What
What are you waiting for?
So,
a copy. I need to just go buy it.
I am about 65, maybe 70 hours into the game. I'm at 40%. Yeah, I've done I'm getting my ass kicked in the 31st mission.
So you're close to the end of the story.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm told that there's 50 missions of story, and then there's side ops, and there's basically cassette tapes. And it's,
Why did you say? You said to me before, I'm going to go home and finish Metal Gear tonight.
Well, a Metal Gear.
Oh, aim. Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, you're going
I
to
don't
do
want to
19
spoil
missions.
like the 5th game in this series titled Metal Gear that refers to a big robot. You fight a big robot. Also, anytime there's a beginning of a mission, they show you credits, and they're like, this episode stars a flaming man and the scary gas mask baby and skull faces, and you're like, you'll be starting like a mission. You're like, I wonder what's going to happen in this, and you're like, well, thanks a lot. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
way to give that away. But anyway, I'm so crazy about this game. And there's some weird stuff in there. Like I did the thing where here's a fun tip. If you don't bathe much in that game, first of all, it's a game where you have to take baths. We knew that. You get real stinky and you get flies all over you. But if you do it,
Can people smell you if that happens?
yes, they catch you. They catch you more, and you also go a little bit crazy because if you're a real stinky man with a beard and a devil horn and an eye patch and you're running around, people are like,
I had a couple moments like that where I caught myself. I'm usually very hygienic in real life, and in that game, I'll go back to Mother Base and take a hot shower every now and then, which is something you can do. Because they yell at you if you don't.
No, they don't just yell at you. This is what I'm saying. You get off the plane, and you get a lovely Troy Baker coming. Snake, you stink, and then he throws a bucket of water on you. However, if you're really good pals with Quiet, a different thing happens that's real awkward, where you take a shower together.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's a real weird thing. So get real smelly in that game if you want to shower with the terrifying underpants sniper.
There's a really good video going around where someone's replaced a model and you take a shower with Ocelot instead of Quiet, but they're reacting as though it's Quiet. It's really funny.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this game is so much about like kind of making up your own story. I've gotten to hitting a few like big cutscenes, and I don't really care that much. And it's like it's fun. It's very Kojima, you know. Like I kind of am like, oh, this is weird. This is weird cerebral junk food. But
That's
so
my
much of the
favorite Metal
game
Gear
is
boss.
cerebral. I think I Fultoned him the other day. But no, like so much of it is about like being Big Boss and like becoming your own character and just kind of like it's a role playing game. Like there's grinding, there's customization. I've started modding all my weapons, and I made a submachine gun that looks like Wolverine because it's got like blue clips and like a yellow stock, and it's got crap sticking out of it every which way. And like I'll go into a mission, and like I keep waiting to reach that point where it feels very perfunctory and I'm kind of over it, but it manages to capture that like I'm gonna go in and kick some ass vibe so much because like I show up and I'm like I get in my zebra print helicopter. And I'm in my chopper, and I got my dog with an eye patch, and I'm dressed in like zebra camo print, and I'm like blaring aha, and I'm flying into this base, and I jump out, and I'm like, I'm gonna screw the dog. I'm taking the weird little robot, and I got this bright pink robot like wheelchair thing I get in, and I start stomping around, and I'm just like, this is like the weirdest action movie ever made.
I think when it's all kind of working in synchronicity like that is that when it just totally absolutely nails how much I love what that game is doing. I think like in pieces, you're like, oh, I have a dog and he's sniffing things out, and like, you know, I have this cool horse and I can put armor on him, and sometimes like I call a box in from the sky and it lands on his head and he falls over, and it looks like something from Three Stooges for 4 minutes until he gets back up and he's just like, whoa, don't do that again.
But I'm like 40 minutes in this episode until Brian talked about a horse.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I mean like I had a mission where I kept getting beat by the bad guys. I kept screwing up, and I was supposed to just like kidnap this one man in a truck, and I became such good friends with my horse that I brought the horse in. The horse took a big dump in the road. The truck spun out. I tied a balloon to it, and I just was out of there. Like I did the thing I was supposed to do in the most completely ludicrous Wile E. Coyote means possible with the help of an animal friend while aha was blaring from my zebra print helicopter. I don't know when I'm going to get a game that has as many weird bits and pieces that feel like it's catered to me.
You won't, because most AAA Western action games are way up their own asses.
Yeah, no, it's totally
like,
true.
Look at the Call of Duty Twitter account.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get a lot of like stuff that's ridiculous for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And that's why we find so many really serious games here in North America that we make fun of, because when they break character for a moment, or they actually break, it's hilarious to make fun of them. But Metal Gear, like I've seen people doing the stuff you were talking about, like swapping characters out, and it's like, yeah, that's really ridiculous. That's really goofy. Like somebody swapped the dog with Ocelot, and like he's rolling around on the floor, and I'm like, that's hilarious, but not as funny as just when you're regularly playing that game. So on its own, I think it's like there's something like Japanese slapstick about it that I absolutely love, that I really wasn't expecting. I mean, I should have because Metal Gear's always been kind of goofy like that. But I think that's what I love about it, and what I'm going to miss the most once the Metal Gear franchise kind of disappears for a while, is that not only is Metal Gear probably going away for a very long time, it also signifies the end of Konami making console games as we know it, which is sort of one of these last bastions of Japanese game developers doing really big, crazy, awesome things. Now we have Capcom, but like their next foray is making a shooting game, Resident Evil, which is going to be so up its own ass and so serious, and a lot of remakes.
I mean, I'm still not totally sold on Konami completely stepping away from AAA.
I'm not either, but I mean, you got to look at the situation as sort of like it's pretty dire for Japanese game devs, and Metal Gear Solid 5 is an anomaly. To see that game in 2015 and to see an action game that's that goofy and that fun, like you're talking about, that you can run it with leopard print and steal tapes and stuff like that.
It's a combination between Far Cry 3 and Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Yeah.
Like it manages to have all of that weird 80s action movie stuff, but with some level of like commitment to it. I don't know. I always it's with like camp or shtick, or like kind of when something is kind of, it's really hard to generate something that's intentionally silly and corny. Right. But I think that Metal Gear's always managed to sort of do that. It's like, hey, if you run into the bathroom fast enough, somebody's not wearing pants. Like, what a weird blooper, you know? Like, what a weird thing to have intentionally in your game. Like, if you scare a man and you shoot the question mark above his head, he goes to sleep. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But I haven't finished the game. I don't really want to, because I want it to keep going. And like I keep waiting to get tired of it, but I'm not yet. And I'm just so in love with it. It makes me so happy. And it's like I think it might be like my favorite game in the series, possibly my favorite game ever. Like Metal Gear Solid 2 was the most excited I've ever been about a game. I was looking forward to this game. I was kind of burnt out by the kind of the long marketing tail it had behind it with Ground Zeroes and everything. And Ground Zeroes was honestly pretty boring in the grand scheme of things. But like, this is just everything I've wanted, and I know Fallout 4 is coming out, and Battlefront's coming out, and Uncharted 4 is coming out, and like all these other amazing games are coming out. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to fly in with my zebra print chopper blaring "Aha" and go make a horse poop in the road.
Yep.
I mean, so it's your game of the year as of right now, I assume.
Yeah.
Like because
Yeah.
you were super hot on Witcher and a bunch of other stuff, but
No, Witcher's incredible, but it's like it's not fun. You know? No, I mean like it's like fun, you know? Like it's good, it's satisfying, it's got an incredible story, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I still haven't finished that either. But it was like that's like reading a book that you're like, I'm curious to see what happens, but it's not a page turner, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And like I don't want Metal Gear to end because after that happens then I'm like, well, what then? Yeah. Like I'm going on vacation next week and I'm sort of like, well, rats. I won't be able to sneak around with my weird Wolverine gun and my leopard print camo underpants.
And that's the kind of thing that bums me out, right? Is that you're like, if there's a game you really love, you usually get it every year, you know, or you get it every few years. Like we're gonna get another GTA in a few years. The GTA Online's going right now. They're probably gonna do single player stuff eventually. More story mission stuff. If you love Call of Duty, if you love Assassin's Creed, even games like Far Cry, you're going to get every other year. Mm-hmm. I don't know when we're going to get another game like this. I don't know if we'll ever get another game like this. So, yeah, I mean, savor it, man. I mean, there's Metal Gear Online. Maybe you'll get into that, but it's a very special thing. We were very lucky to have gotten it. It seems like it was like it's the kind of baby that kills a mother. You know, like
look at Andrew. He's just like
it's a dark metaphor, but dude, I mean, like this
Les enfants terribles.
Yeah, like it's here in the world now, and its parents are divorced. This whole situation not only like it ended this franchise, it ended with Silent Hills. Like anything around all of this, like Metal Gear blazed the trail through that. Like it just. Really got out there in the world. I'm sorry. It's a very special thing.
Probably bleep that.
Yeah, probably.
It's a very special thing, and it ruined a lot of. It really changed the world to get here. So I'm
the best
really
thing
happy
I can hope is that Konami licenses out that Fox engine. And just it becomes a thing that people get to tinker with and experiment with, and like, God, I hope that happens.
I'm not again like there's all these rumors right now, and the Silent Hill stuff was devastating. There's a lot of stuff, but like in those games you mentioned, right? Like like the Call of Duties, the Assassin's Creeds, the things we get every year. Definitely, I agree with that. But like something like GTA, it was what from 2008 to 2013 in between when those games came out, like. I think 5 years from now there will be another Metal Gear game. I don't know what form it'll be in, but I think Silent Hill and Metal Gear and all those things.
It'll be a pachinko machine.
Yeah,
it'll be a pachinko or an endless runner on mobile. But no, I mean, like I think if I would be very surprised if Konami's actually done. I think even if they are, like Max said, like those franchises land somewhere. Yeah. Kind of like when THQ stopped. I don't think. I don't know. I would be very, very, very surprised if this is just the end of that franchise. Like, I think within the next few years, in the same way that like BioShock is dormant right now, but like there'll be another BioShock.
Yeah, but whoever takes over that series next is going to have to be,
of course,
just as insane and just as weird and just as bizarre. Like that's what really makes the game so special.
The one way that would make me really okay with a Kojima-less Metal Gear is if it was a follow-up to Snake's Revenge. Mm-hmm. So they took like the original Metal Gear that didn't have Kojima attached to it, that was just this weird, like, you just run around and punch dudes. It's not even really a stealth game. It's sort of a bad bootleg Rambo game.
I'm actually more excited for the mighty number 9 Metal Gear that he gets to make someday without anybody getting in his way, where he can kind of just be like, I'm gonna kickstart my own sequel or my own sort of reboot half sequel to this franchise. I'm gonna make a Metal Gear game that doesn't have any of those characters. It's just gonna be completely insane. Because I mean, let's be honest, I don't think that matters. Like the characters are cool and all. Metal Gear Solid 5 showed that there's sort of a backseat to just how awesome the gameplay is, because the story is just not really that pronounced. I think that if one day he gets to go, I'm making a stealth action game and it's got balloons and animals, then yeah, I'm in.
It's got balloon animals.
And he's like, go on Kickstarter, fund my new balloon animal stealth action game. I'm like, yeah,
Silver
I'm
cogs.
There we go. We already have a working title.
I love it. All right, so a bunch of games are coming out this week. We've got Arcade Archives Karate Champ for PS4, Arcade Archives Shusio Zumo, Dungeon Defenders 2 beta is hitting PS4. I checked out this game a while ago. It's really pretty. Like,
Yeah.
It's one of those games where you're like, oh, that's what a cartoon would look like if it was a video game. And the first Dungeon Defenders was like kind of wasn't into that. What did you write down?
No, he's just looking at the last.
I'm looking at my curse list from this episode. Because the second one has a question mark behind it. Because we're not really sure if it's a curse.
Dynamite Fishing World Games.
Wait, that's the whole Dynamite Fishing World Games?
I don't know.
Okay.
Something like that. NBA Live 16 for PS4.
It was a real good animation of a player about to shoot a free throw, and he turns around and shoots a free throw in the other direction, like 75 feet.
He's still on
That
the line.
traitor.
Sabatier!
Are you sure you weren't just watching like a Trick Shots YouTube video?
Gem Legends is coming to Vita. Who says the Vita's dead? Gem Legends is coming to it.
There you go.
Who here likes Gem Legends? Okay.
I thought that said Gem Lizards. I got a little more excited than I should have.
Hardware Rivals, the beta is coming for PS Plus members.
Rivals.
Yes.
Is that a game based on the console wars?
Yeah.
Why does this? I just stop putting colons in your titles. It makes them sound dumb when you say them, and it's just I don't know. Hardware Junction, so Hardware Funtown, whatever. This game looks cool. You got brightly colored trucks, so that's all I want. Is a giant child with the brain of a macaw. Journey Collector's Edition.
No idea what's
coming to.
Yeah, that's like the bundle. That's it's like sort of like the retail one that came out a while back.
Yeah,
You get all
PS4.
three.
Journey, Flower, Flow. If you haven't played those, go do
And
it.
it's all cross-buy now, so it's like you get it for PS3 and Vita for those two. Which is
I love how that game company has like a Duck Duck Goose naming convention. They're like Flow, Flower, Journey. Mega Man Legends, PS1 Classic.
You just call it Flower?
Flower. I like my favorite games are Flow and Flower.
I like Juarnar.
Yeah, Mega Man Legends. Sort of a black sheep in the Mega Man world.
That game's really good.
That's a good one to check out. NBA 2K16. Is it the same?
That's a Spike Lee joint.
No, so that's the NBA 2K16 is the one that's actually consistently good. NBA Live is the one that's been a lot of trouble for EA.
That's the one where
Never
Spike Lee
works.
did the single player mode.
Okay. That's pretty cool. PS3, PS4. Then there's Onigiri for PS4.
That's a type of shushy.
Yeah. All right. And there's Persona 4 Dancing All Night, which
I
we
like how
talked about.
That takes
a good bunch.
backs off the rails.
I like how I'm thinking of the secret story that Mitch told us yesterday about. Anyway, yeah, Persona 4.
Wait, I want to hear it now.
Oh, Mitch's
really
mom.
dumb. Yeah.
It's really dumb, and we have to swear to say it. It's a dumb joke. Mitch's mom
Okay,
has
well,
about the word
just-
sushi.
Okay.
But yeah, Persona 4 Dancing All Night is great. I really, really like it. Again, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but if you like Persona 4 at all, there's awesome fan service in it, and even if you're not into rhythm games, it's basically just a visual novel, and you dance. You do dance every so often, but it's much like the fighting game spin-off games. You mostly just get the perspective of the characters and get to see people interact who didn't previously. It's just fun.
Sounds like a grand old time. A whole night's worth of fun.
Miranda gave it an 8.4.
Cool. Prismatic Solid. Kojima's great new spin-off project about a rainbow snake.
See, the Kickstarter's already funded. The game's already out.
That's coming to PS4. Samurai Warriors 4-2.
I think that's
PS4,
411.
PS3,
That's
yeah.
the prequel to 7-Eleven, where they start a store together.
This is about samurai warriors who answer phone calls about asking for, hey, samurai
That's a good
warriors, do you know
411
my friend's phone?
Samurai Warriors
Yeah.
311 is Colin Moriarty's favorite Samurai Warriors game.
Thief Town.
Who would live there?
Man, a whole town of...
You should have died the improv. You should have played the Vuvuzela noise there because that joke died.
Oh, wow, okay. Then, of course, there's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Yeah, Dr. Anthony Hawk, Pro Skater 5. That game came out today. We got the copy today. Is it a bad sign?
Real weird. This is... Somebody on Twitter said the best way to look at this. It is... what is it? Brian, what was the thing about the season pass? Oh yeah, it's a season pass with day one game.
This is actually in the Podcast Beyond Facebook group. Adam Rowland said, "What do you think of this Tony Hawk patch having a day one game?"
Oh damn!
That's pretty
there we go.
love. That's actually really funny.
And for
Yeah.
context on that, it's because the patch you downloaded today was almost twice as big as
Yeah.
the game
it's
was
a-
4 gigs. The patch was over 7.
We
Yeah.
also read that the game is actually just it's the tutorial park and a tutorial section, and then just like sort of like a starting area.
Yeah,
skate park.
the update is like the video game.
The update is the video game. So if you don't have an internet connection and you bought this game and you're going to go camping with your PS4 or whatever, you can't really play anything outside of the tutorial.
Wow.
Yeah. That said, I'm reviewing it. I've put about 3 hours into it so far. It's not the worst.
Okay.
It has a lot of problems. The physics and the collision are pretty awful.
I think that's the which is a little odd because
this game is all about physics and colliding.
It's literally the point of the game is to be able to skate up things and skate back down them without expecting your character to melt into the earth.
Yeah, but Lil Wayne's in it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Is this sort of like the is the Tony Hawk series kind of like the Rocky series, and that it's sort of autobiographical about like. I always said that Rocky's about Stallone as his career. Is this about Tony Hawk's career? And at this point, he's just sort of like he just wants to melt into the half pipe, but he doesn't really care that much. He flips off his board and he just flies into the sky, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm literally over this." Yeah.
I don't really understand how they're justifying making these games bad so many times in a row. Like there have been as many bad ones as good ones now. Which really sucks because like this is a numbered entry in the franchise. This is not like Tony Hawk's, Fun or whatever the hell. That's like some downloadable title for $15. This is a $60 game that has a big fat number 5 in it. This is the return to form for the franchise for anybody walking in to a store for the first time in a while who misses this franchise, which is tons of people who grew up playing video games.
And it's a 5. It's like, oh man, you should have gotten it right by now.
Yeah. So I mean, like I was thinking about this the other day, like. Video games are weird now because you can leave one for a little while and come back and it can be dead. Like people aren't playing it anymore. Like the world is empty and all the servers are gone. But you can also come back to a game and it's better. Like games age now while you walk away. Like if you played Uncharted 1 and you were doing that log balance thing and you were lobbing grenades with your motion controls and you came back 6 months later, you didn't have to do any of those things anymore. So maybe this will be a great game someday. Today it looks like kind of a mess, and I think that their structure of releasing a game with such a huge patch on the first day is not good. So
also, it was really funny because we came back from lunch and Marty turned on his screen and like 5 other Tony Hawks had wandered in. Everyone was playing as Tony Hawk, so there were just like 5.
Everyone was playing Vanilla Hawk, so it was like multiplicity.
That's the ghost of Tony Hawk Ride.
Vanilla Hawk is also my favorite Metal Gear boss.
And all the
other. Then of course there's Toto Temple Deluxe for PS4. So if you love the rains down on the Africa, whatever, there is a game for you.
Is that a Toto song?
That was a reference to the artist Toto.
Wow. I would be amazed if anyone listening to the show got that.
Some YouTube commenter got mad.
Africa's that obscure.
Some YouTube commenter got real mad in a real incoherent sentence that I had trouble actually understanding. Because apparently that joke I made about Power Man 5000 a couple episodes ago was too inside baseball.
It's When Worlds Collide reference?
No. It was about, somebody said like some weird name of a game, and I was like, oh, it's a popular member of Power Man 5000, and everyone chuckled, and apparently we chuckled too hard at our own joke there. Uh-oh. It's not inside baseball if you don't get the joke. It's inside baseball if we're like, oh, my old pal so-and-so over at this studio, like...
You know what was inside baseball? When Goldfarb went to start to tell that story about Mitch's mom's sushi. That is inside baseball.
That was inside baseball.
And then we never finished it.
That's not inside baseball. That's just like... what?
This is me being bad at podcasts.
That's like how 6th graders tell stories. You know?
Okay, and let's land on the last big one here, and then get to rapid fire.
Yeah, Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection, the demo. If you want to run away from a truck and then maybe hide behind some stuff and climb a thing.
And it only has easy and normal difficulty on it. But actual game is out October 7th.
Yeah.
Something tells me this is for people that haven't played these games yet.
Oh,
or the morbid curiosity of what it looks like.
You have a PS4.
If the redesign or the remaster looks good.
If you have a PS4 and you've never touched an Uncharted game, get this and check it out because it's really good.
Yeah.
I know it seems like you look at Uncharted, you're like, it's about a guy who jumps on some stuff and shoots a thing. Yeah, but it's real good. Rapid fire, take it away.
That's right. So every week we go into the Podcast Beyond Facebook group, which you can do, and you can join just like almost 10,000 other wonderful gamers are doing every single week. And I ask a question to ask me questions. Very quickly and very shortly. And this week, we got a bunch of them. We're going to fly through them very fast. So, Dave Hall says, most disappointing game of the year so far.
For me, probably The Order.
Yeah.
Because, man, like Colin and I saw that cool tech demo like 2 years ago at Gamescom, and all the trailers I thought were cool. I don't think it's necessarily as bad as a lot of people made it out to be, but the hour or so I spent with it, I just like wasn't gripped by it, which is a shame because the game is so pretty, and I really wanted more of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say aside from The Order, Tales from the Borderlands Episode 4, Telltale needs to stop making those Episode 4s that aren't good because Episodes 1 through 3 were real good.
Max, what about you?
Yeah, probably The Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what. Honestly, it's been a kind of
for me. It was probably Batman, but I kind of knew going in that I wasn't going to be in love with that game because I was kind of over it, and it just ended up being exactly what I thought it would be, and actually a little worse.
That game,
man, I like everything but the tank stuff though. Like I still haven't beaten that yet, but
yeah,
like,
I don't.
I do really enjoy parts of that game. Like I think there are moments of brilliance in it.
I've talked about it before, but that game feels to me like when you see a movie and you walk out and you're talking with your friends, and you're like, oh, that was all right, it was pretty good. But then like you guys take the long way home and you go and get a drink afterwards, and you're like, you know, it was really dumb, this, and this, and all of a sudden, like 3 hours later, you're like, yeah, I really didn't like that movie. Like the more I thought about it, the less I liked it.
That game was like a drunken hookup that.
Yep.
Sort of sober up throughout, and I was like, I'm not so into this. You know, I was sort of like, why not? It seems like a fun time. It's a good time. Let's have a blast.
Speaking
and
of,
then a bunch of tanks came in.
Yeah.
Chris Goodwin says, game you hated the most that you were forced to play, you know, in example for review or for conversation, whatever it was. Marty, this was specifically aimed at you because I know you review more games than anybody here. Nobody else here really reviews games anymore.
I used to review games.
Yeah, I did too, but that was many moons ago.
You only reviewed the games you like, such as Rayman and other Rayman games.
I reviewed like that Sonic game with Jack and a couple others.
God, I'm trying to think. What's the worst game that I was?
I think the one I hated the most was, was called Fuse. The Insomniac game published by EA.
Overstrike?
No, it was Fuse. It was called Overstrike and became Fuse.
Right.
Yeah.
That was
Marty,
the most.
you did that Fast and Furious game.
Yeah, Fast and Furious Showdown. That was real dumb. The game based on the first Captain America movie was really bad. Never Dead was probably the worst game I've ever reviewed.
Oh,
Never Dead, yeah.
That was bad.
His head falls off and then you bowl a head.
Max, Paul Macbeth asks, what other D animals would you like to see in Metal Gear? I figured you'd have an answer.
Diamond Dragon.
Diamond Dragon.
Diamond Dragon would be pretty good.
That's I love
Diamond
that.
Dad.
I want Diamond Bear because I know the bear could sniff as well as dog, but he can also fight better. It's a real sentence.
I thought he meant literal D's. I would go with I think like a bird would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Like a
recon or
rideable
whatever.
one?
What about no? Just like go send a hawk out and bite a guy in the neck.
What about a diamond Anthony Hawk, like a diamond Tony Hawk?
Actually, you know what? An eagle would be great because you could extract. You could send them in. You could extract people from a distance.
That's a giant eagle from Lord of the Rings. Those aren't real.
It'd be pretty cool.
Elia Pale says, "What's the most amount of money you'd be willing to pay?" He says pay for a gaming console. I was thinking about this. Like that's tough, right? Because I bought gaming consoles for a couple $100 that ended up really not doing much.
Yep.
And that didn't have much of a lineup. Like the Wii U for the first 2 years was kind of like, why did I spend so much money on this thing?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, it's that weird thing where like you're normally getting when you buy it at launch, it's super expensive because it's like the newest chips and stuff.
Yeah, it's generally not worth it. Like if I was in the industry, I don't think I would have got both a PS4 and Xbox One at launch. Just because
me neither.
launch lineups weren't.
I still kind of regret that.
I feel like at this point, 500 is kind of the cap of what people are realistically going to pay. Because like, even when they did the $599 US thing, like that was definitely over that line.
I would pay $1,000 for a video game console if I knew that it would be relevant for 6 years, and it was getting tons of support from first and third party, and there were going to be a ton of great games on it, and like good stuff like PlayStation Plus type deals where I'm getting free games for it too.
But the problem is most of the consoles that come out and they're like, oh, like this is going to be relevant forever. We have 1 billion devs on board, or like the ones that don't really make it. Like Ouya, like came out with like, oh, we have all these cool exclusives, and this many people are signed on, and then
you get a game about a frog that falls over.
Yeah,
well, it's weird. Like I have no problem spending. Like I'll spend $1,300 on a laptop. People spend $1,000 on an iPad, but when it comes to a gaming console, it's like
kind of weird. But it's also, what's the most amount of money you're willing to pay for a gaming console? What gaming console? What does it do? You know, like that's the thing is we accept the price for these things because we drink the Kool-Aid, you know?
Yeah, because we want
like we are on board. It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing that plays games that we like, and they're like, yeah, these games are coming to this console. And you're like, whoa, I've got to have that. But like, if somebody just came out, they're like, hey, here's a box that's coming out real soon.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like Morpheus, for all we know, or PlayStation VR could end up being $500. Like we don't know how much.
I was going to say, would you guys pay $800 for a PS4 and Morpheus?
It would depend
what
on the games, what Morpheus is.
Yeah. What if I just told you right now and it ships with like 2 or 3 games, kind of like knack or whatever, like just regular launch games?
If I didn't already have a PS4,
yeah. If you didn't have a PS4, you would do it.
Yeah, if I suffered a brain injury.
It'd be really hard to host this podcast when I have a PS4, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that's kind of you don't buy a gaming console, you buy into this culture. You know, like you You guys chuckling about a knack joke over here? A knack joke?
Really like Marty's answer.
While you're smiling, Goldfarb, Isaiah Elijah says, favorite brand and/or flavor of ice cream.
You have to keep smiling while you say it.
I'm just sobbing.
You seem like a real nice ice cream boy.
I almost never eat ice cream.
Really?
Brand, I have no idea. Flavor, I mean, I normally go for like a.
There's a really good there's a really good company here in the Bay Area called Three Twins. I don't really know how that worked.
Yeah, and I've had like Humphrey Slocum, like the.
That we don't have to censor, right? Three Twins makes an amazing.
Real bad name for ice cream.
Really, they make a really good coffee ice cream, which I love. I used to hate coffee ice cream growing up.
I like coffee ice cream.
I like coffee ice cream. I like cookies and cream, cake batter.
Ben & Jerry's does some good stuff every now and then. They're a little over the top. But.
Ben & Jerry's mint chocolate cookie, which is like the Oreos inside and the mint stuff, or the Toffee Heath Bar Crunch, which is kind of like a coffee Heath Bar. I don't know.
I don't think there are that many kinds of ice cream I've ever tried and been like, I don't like this. But
yeah.
Like, I can't think of a flavor of ice cream I would say absolutely no to trying other than, like, obvious gross stuff like cigarette ash.
I think orange sorbet is disgusting, and if you eat it, you're a weird clown person.
Orange sorbet?
Yeah.
Not sherbet or...
Sorbet.
There's two different words.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, like, orange sherbet's fine, but like orange sorbet.
Sorbet. I don't know what it's made. It tastes like it's made of like orange and club soda and ice.
Max, when we were in Cologne, we got some good gelato.
That's pretty good.
All kinds of good flavors.
I will
Speaking of Italy,
some peppermint stick. Like peppermint stick is my jam, and it sucks that people are like, oh, it's a Christmas flavor because it used to be like
treat.
It used to be no, it's a weird old ragtime flavor from people. People would go to World's Fairs and die of polio. They were just like, yeah, let's have ice cream all year round with the candy canes in it.
Little Jimmy passed away.
Suzanne Birch asks if you could play. By the way, tons of dudes in this group. If you're a lady and you see me posting, I'm going to try to pick your. I know that's favoritism, but I want more female representation on this show. Yeah. So ask a question. I will try to get you in there.
Suzanne on the show with 4 white dudes.
Yes. We had a woman on last week when you gave us a chance to. It's only when you're not here.
Yeah, get out of that seat.
Get out.
Anytime.
Show up late more
often.
often.
I'm just joking. I love you. Don't go. If you could play an amazing open world game in any real or fictional city, which would you pick? Speaking of Italy,
San Francisco.
My favorite city, Italy. Yeah, I've always wanted San Francisco.
It's really okay. So San Francisco, 7 by 7 miles wide.
Yep.
All kinds of weird, different climates. Bunch of stuff goes on here.
Full of crazy roustabouts and gremlins.
It's effectively an island. You know, there's like weird woodsy areas. There's roving bands of murderous raccoons.
Mark Ruffalo
lots of crazy people to fight.
Yeah,
there's poop everywhere.
Yeah.
If they don't want you to leave, they could always do like the Batman thing where they're like, boss, there's a tank on the bridge. We didn't want to draw that stuff over there.
I mean, half the time you can't leave because there's traffic. But I like the idea of visiting a city that I'm really familiar with and trying to find my way around.
I like San Francisco. We got Driver San Francisco, the one with the ghosts,
which is the worst
coma car.
I would do. I'm excited for Persona 4 or Persona 5 rather, doing the super realistic Tokyo stuff.
Yep.
Like, because Tokyo's a city I would love to explore more.
And finally, Shibuya would be awesome. I would love to do Tokyo just because it's like how many times you really get to go there. It's so cool. Ivan Leskinek, which I read as Evanescence, says, "Would you drink
all the things she said? All the things she said.
Would you drink alcohol that an animal made?"
How did it mix the drink?
That's all I'm asking.
Yo, if there was a cute dog bartender that like poured some vodka and some soda into your drink,
I think if you put 100 dogs in a big grape pit, they made a nice hot wine.
I think I would legitimately die.
Canine wine. Wow, that's real gross.
Right?
Yeah,
I would do that. Do you know how?
I mean, if this is like referring to urine or something, then no, probably not.
Sake in ancient Japan, this is not a lie. It used to be made by. It's not a lie. It sounds so fake. Japanese virgins would chew on rice and spit it out when it was fermented, and they made rice wine like that. That is how sake was.
That was your Altano lie of the night.
That was a real thing. So I just as people drank that back in the day, in a bad situation like a Last of Us type deal or Fear the Walking Dead,
not regular The Walking Dead, only Fear the Walking Dead.
Actually, I thought Fear the Walking Dead took place before the zombie apocalypse.
It's 3 days in. I'm like, I'm drinking the dog wine.
You know what?
You're like, Brian, there was one zombie.
You don't have to do that. All the stores are still open. I don't care. I'm drinking the dog wine.
I was thinking I've been training my dog to do some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd be kind of cool if I trained him to make a drink, but then I realized that limes are real bad for dogs, so it would really suck if I was trying to train my dog to be a bartender and he died. So I don't want to do that.
He died as he lived.
So this is not would you drink a drink that your dog made. This is would you drink alcohol that an animal made. And the alcohol has to be fermented from something.
Well, no. Andrew said like a cute bartender.
Yeah.
You get mad at me for saying dumb
no, I'm
things.
just
He's
saying
sitting right there being real dumb alongside me.
That doesn't make it better. Any dog can knock over a bunch of things and make a floor drink.
I don't think that's true. Not any dog.
Look, if I knock this thing on the floor, that's technically a drink.
You mean this bottle of moonshine?
I'm talking about an animal that can ferment, like if you put a bunch of hops in an elephant tusk.
What? I would. Okay, wait. So maybe if there was some insane person, like if there was like whale liquor that was like made inside of a whale.
There we are. Come over to the dark side. Come
Yeah.
on over to Animal Town.
I could do something like
Nothing
that.
but booze in Animal
It
Town.
doesn't say when you drink alcohol, a
hold on,
human
hold
made
on.
inside of an animal.
Hold on.
Animal made.
I have totally had that insane Vietnamese stuff that has a cobra and a scorpion in it. How do we know that the cobra and scorpion weren't like, we're starting a brewery, we're writing this bottle together, and they were just like, crap, we're dead and scary. I don't know.
I'm just thinking of like Geppetto and Pinocchio inside of Monstro, and Geppetto being like, "Well, have some of this." And
He's just making Pruno inside of like a big rift of baleen.
You don't give a young wooden boy animal Pruno.
Dude, if Geppetto's crazy enough to make a lie detector puppet son, I'm pretty sure he's crazy enough to get drunk inside a whale. He's gonna make prison wine inside of a whale. Yeah, so if you want to...
That's our style of PlayStation podcast.
Yeah. If you really have a hard time listening to a PlayStation podcast where people talk about, animal wine, then, go check out Greg and Company with P.S. I Love You. They're doing a thing that just...
Greg and Company.
Greg and Company. They started a company.
Company Moriarty. I thought that
Company Moriarty.
I've only listened to the first half of the new show, but I like it a lot. I'm real proud of those boys.
Turns out two things can coexist and be real sweet alongside each other.
Mm-hmm. So, on that note, we are all on Twitter. I'm Max Scoville. Marty is McBiggities with 2 G's and 2 T's.
Yep.
Brian is the current news, breaking news aggregate.
Brian is Brian is Richard Dawkins on Twitter. And Andrew Goldfarb is Garfep. Thank you all for tuning in. We have a good time. Brian's actually Agent Bizzle.
That's right. Drink some dog wine on the way home. Don't do that. I'm just kidding.
All right.
Especially on the way home. Goldfarb and I are going to be in New York next weekend for Comic-Con.
Yep.
So
I'm going to be in Cancun for Cancun Con.
Great. Are we doing a show? What's going on?
What?
How are we doing Beyond?
I'll do a one-man show.
This is your problem.
We're figuring out if Marty's coming or not. At the moment, it looks like no. So if it's you and me, we'll have Zach with us. TBD.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
There will be some kind of
worst
show.
Comes to worst, you can have Vince and Jared on.
Yeah, bunch of sweet boys.
Okay, you just take care of
sweet boys and girls.
We're gonna go get pizza.
Yeah,
we're going to Grimaldi's Pizza in New York City.
Yeah,
best pizza in the world. Mamma mia! Speaking of Italy,
I'll be out the week after that too. So
yeah, but I'm going on vacation, so you guys have a good time at Comic-Con, and we'll be back in 2 weeks or whatever.
No, we'll be back in 1 week. We'll have something.
So I will.
This is inside baseball.
Back.
This right here. This is inside baseball.
Yeah.
This is inside the
sometimes
baseball. Get us out of this white sphere.
Everybody tweet at Mitch and ask about his mom's sushi joke.
That's right. Like that a lot. Yeah, ask his mom about sushi.
Thank you all for listening. On that note, Beyond.
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 Dog wine.
You're not gonna play that Vuvuzela? We gotta wait for you to pull it up. Well, could have done it. You could have had that noise.
I guess that's the end of the episode. It sounds like this show's dead.
There we go. Thank you. Beyond.